In your car, at work, at home, and through your ear pods.
That's why I listen.
2940 The Difference. On air everywhere.
Welcome to the North Texas Community Difference-Wylie. Brought to you in part by Master Networks Wylie and powered by the Difference Media LLC. Today's show is hosted by Brian Poduska, entrepreneur, property manager and co-creator of the North Texas Community Difference series. And co-hosted by Jenny Connolley, owner of TC Roofing and Restoration, and Angela Tucker, realtor with Coldwell Banker Apex. The North Texas Community Difference-Wylie was created to serve as a platform for local leaders and business professionals to showcase their expertise, values, and commitment to their community. Overall, the podcast aims to create a stronger sense of community in North Texas by highlighting the often overlooked or unnoticed good work being done by local leaders, businesses, and professionals. So sit back and relax as our co-host and their guests share thoughts and insights about being a professional and the opportunities for our businesses to serve our communities in a very special way. Because the North Texas Community Difference-Wylie starts now.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Brian Poduska. I'm the owner of Real Property Management Focus, and you are watching the North Texas Community Difference-Wylie show. You'll see here, mine says Frisco because I do also do a Frisco show. That just happens to be my background, but we are focusing on the North Texas Community Difference show in Wylie. Super excited to have our co-hosts on today. We'll introduce them here in a second. Did want to just talk a little bit briefly about the difference and what that is and what we're trying to accomplish, and some of the new enhancements, frankly, that have come out over the last couple weeks. Lennon, who's in the background, is our producer. Lennon, what's going on, my friend?
Not much. Punching buttons and trying to keep everything online, right?
Amen to that, and we appreciate all your efforts behind the scenes. Hopefully you won't have to talk too much and co-host too much today, but I did want to bring you in just for a quick discussion on really what the difference is, where we're headed, and frankly, some of these new innovations that you've come up with that I'm really excited about. Talk about a radio station,
right.
Playlists, all the stuff that you cover on the difference, even beyond the Wylie show. So let's kick that around a little bit and let the audience know about it.
Well, Brian, as you know, we started with a radio show. There was a radio station in Frisco, and we got an opportunity to do that. Brian was the very, very first guinea pig that I brought on. And fortunately, something happened, man. He's been with me since day one. We've had several fall out and fall away, and all still good friends of ours. But Brian's hung in there with me and has been a pivotal part. Brian, you can attest to this. This thing kind of took on a life of its own, and opportunities for all the people involved just kept revealing themselves to us. And so we've tried to evolve as this thing has as well. So we started the live streaming. We got the podcast going so you can hear replays and download that and have a library. We go live on YouTube and on Facebook. And obviously both of those have a library that you can do on-demand shows all the way back for 3 years. And always wanted to go back to radio. I just love radio and kind of what our format's going to be. I'll explain that in a second. But we did just get that launched about a week ago. Right now, you can hear the replays of these shows on the radio. We are still working on integrating the audio format that we have with what we're doing now so that we can go live on that. Hopefully, we'll be capable and able to do that by June the 1st. But what's unique about the radio is we don't want it to just be talk. There's a lot of interesting talk subjects that we're going to have. And we're going to be running about 4 talk shows a day. But in between those is going to be music. And it's going to be a mix of music. It's not just country. It's not just classic rock. Brian, you've got gangster rap. You know, that's your playlist. And so one of the things I wanted to be able to do is I don't want to just throw music out that I love or that is popular. I want to partner with the businesses that are part of what we're doing with the Community Difference shows and the other shows. They're going to create a playlist. I'm going to gather that music, and that hour is going to be their music power hour. And it's going to be promoting their business and kind of giving us a little background into what kind of music each business and each person that runs that business likes. And so if you're up at 5 a.m., you can hear Brian's. That's when he wanted it. That's when he works out. So the Real Property Management Brian Poduska Music Power Hour plays every day at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I can tell you, I had a lot of fun putting that together. Kind of a trip down memory lane as I was pulling together a bunch of songs. And, the request was to give you like a handful, 10, 12 songs, enough to take up an hour. I think I gave you like 35. So hard to choose when you start trying to figure out what you like and what you've liked, and unique songs and things like that. So
yeah, and we hope to continue to add to it. The good thing about creating a playlist for you as an individual is I can put an unlimited amount of songs in there. Now in that hour, it's going to play randomly what it picks up. So over the course of a week, you probably get them all played, and that's better than just having the same 20 that run. You kind of get familiar with that, and you know what's coming next. And so we're really excited about it. We got some major sponsors on that radio station: Home Depot, Lowe's, AARP. I don't know if they did that as a credit to me, or they're trying to get me as whatever. I don't know. I don't know how they decided that. But we've got some major heavy hitters they're sponsoring that. But then we're looking for local sponsors as well, and that's kind of where that Music Power Hour comes in. So that's about it, man. We just continue to grow. The audience continues to build. This Master Networks-Wylie group of people has, if you wanted to put a poster child up of what we've been trying to create, you and I and Nathan, over the last 3.5 years, these guys have hit a home run. And, just the energy, the enthusiasm, the connections that they have, and just the support of Wylie. Wylie is really, really digging into this, and it's showing.
Yeah, and I got the taste of the group last week when we hosted. I guess it was episode 2. Now we're on episode 4, and Nathan Smith and I have kind of been handing off and alternating. So this is episode 4, and I got a taste of the group last week, and the energy was awesome. The guests were top notch, and their guests, the co-hosts were top notch, and their guests were top notch. So great conversation. I look forward to meeting more folks in the group. I already know one of our co-hosts today very well, but why don't we jump in and let them join the conversation, and we'll learn more about them.
Before we do, I do want to say one thing, and one of the things that we want to make sure that we're doing with these community shows, with all of our shows, because they're small business centric, right? And being able to bring awareness to the small businesses and let the residents of each community know who the good people are that are doing business within their community. What I've really enjoyed, and the key component and the key takeaway from the first 3 shows that we've done, is there has been a business connection made in each one of those shows. A very beneficial, that was, no one prepared that before. We got on air and 2 people met that would have probably not met that soon because of the show. And that's what we're really proud of. That's what it's all about, is we're just trying to open the doors for our small business owners and the nonprofits. There's been a lot of those come on. So I'll shut up. I'll get off of here. Y'all have a great show. Looking forward to the guest and my fellow Master Networks partners. So y'all take it away. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, thanks, Lyndon. All right, well, without further ado, let's bring in Miss Jenny Connolley and Miss Angela Tucker.
Hello.
Hi, ladies. How are you today?
Hello, Brian. Oh, I'm so happy to be here. This is awesome.
When we started these discussions about launching this Wylie chapter, Master Networks chapter, onto podcasting, I was super excited because I knew you were part of the group, Jenny. We've known each other for years now. We actually met through Master Networks, pre-pandemic, right? So probably several iterations of that chapter that we met in, I stayed in. You guys, I think, launched the Wylie chapter. We're part of that launch group, which is fantastic. Angela, it's a pleasure to meet you, through the screen today. And I feel like I have met you, and we were talking about this backstage before the show. But it's a pleasure to meet you and to have you guys on the show, which is our 4th edition of the Wylie show. And like I was saying, the energy that you guys have and the connections that you guys in this group have built is just fantastic. It's great to see. I've seen you guys, whatever, Facebook posts and through conversations that we've had off the air. I've seen you guys have done a lot of stuff, not just in your meetings, but as a group, as team building, as just fun, right? Part of the spirit is let's have some fun together. So we'll dive a little bit into that, but we do have a commercial break coming up. But what I want you guys to do is just introduce yourselves, kind of like your 30-second commercial, but also just tell us real quick about yourselves, what your business is, and if you want, throw in anything about the Wylie Group and your connection there. So normally I say ladies first, but since we're both ladies, let's let Angela go first, since you're truly our first guest that I don't know, and then we'll end with Jenny, and then we'll jump over to a commercial.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you all for logging in and watching. I am Angela Tucker. I am a realtor with Coldwell Banker Apex. I have been in real estate for about a little over 6 years now, and I absolutely love my job. I get to help people every day with where they find a place to call home, which is such a important thing to me. And I really value each and every one of my clients and the journey that I get to be with, through all of life stages. So I love that. And I love being part of this master network group and just part of Wylie in general. You really just can't explain the community feel that Wylie has. I think that pretty much everyone that comes on here from our Master Networks group says that, but it is very true. There's just a really great sense of community here. And even though it's grown a lot, it's still got the small town feel that everybody loves. So I'm thankful to be part of that. I love giving back to the community and just getting to interact with all the other business owners and support each other.
Well, that's fantastic. And you just echoed something that was mentioned in all the previous shows about Wylie, and the fact that, it has grown like a weed over the last, 10, 15 years, but it still has that small town, feel and friendliness to it. So thanks for adding that, because Jenny, we'll introduce you here, or I'd like you to introduce yourself, but we have a special connection with Wylie because we've worked together specifically to find your home there. So tell us about yourself, tell us about your business, and then we'll go to a commercial.
I know, Brian, you're spilling all the beans.
Sorry.
Yes, this is amazing. This really, to me, feels like full circle. Brian, I met him as soon as we started our company. We started our company in March of 2019, and I knew that we needed to get our name out there within the community and through other people, other business owners. So the first thing I did when we started our company was join Master Networks. And the first person that I met in that group was Brian Poduska. And our relationship has grown since then as our company has grown. And actually, he took us shopping for our home, which we shopped over a year to find our house. And we ended up in Wylie. And when we bought our house here, I knew how important it was to get connected. And there was not a Master Networks chapter here in Wylie at the time. So we did. I joined the Chamber of Commerce and met some great friends. And we started the chapter here now that you see today, that is about to be 2 years old. So I am the owner of TC Roofing Restorations and Solar. I have an amazing two business partners. First is my husband, Tom Connolley, and Matthew Timcho. Matt Timcho actually brought us into the business. My husband and I had no experience whatsoever. We moved here from Lake Tahoe, California. And had I known that roofing was competitive and had a bad rap, we probably would not be here now. But our passion for the industry really has grown because we've seen just how traumatic it is when these crazy events take place. And after hailstorms strike, there's contractors coming out of the woodwork left and right. People don't know what to do. Their cars are messed up. Their windows are broken. And we just really found our niche is really coming in with compassion and leading with education and slowing things down and letting homeowners know exactly all of their choices and decisions they can make before they get rushed into a contract and feel like they have to make a decision right then and there.
No, that's great. So real quick before we do go to commercial, you mentioned, it's come full circle. It certainly has. And to build on that too, our company, so we're both in, I guess all of us in the screen here are in real estate in some way, shape, or form. You mentioned the fact that you wouldn't have gotten into the roofing business had you known the reputation that roofers have. And I think it's extremely important to point out that we've reached out to you for several of our needs from a business standpoint, property management standpoint, and have done a fantastic job. So the proof is in the pudding. You do business with people you know, like, and trust, and it's reciprocal, and it does come and go full circle. So it's been a pleasure knowing you and doing business with you, Jenny, over the
1 second though, I do want to say this because the full circle involves Angela. So she had a vision board making party at her house in January, and this is it right here. Podcast is on my vision board, and here we are today with the man who sold me my house and the woman who we put this vision board together with, and it's amazing.
That's actually really funny because I have it on some of mine in the past too, which I've never really explored, but the vision boards work. Everyone needs to do one.
Well, Here we are seeing our visions come true. So on that note, we'll cut to the commercial break here in a second. What we're going to do on the back end is do a little segment we've been calling What's Up Wylie. So think about your community involvement and tell us what's going on Wylie on the back end of this commercial break. Hit it, Lyndon.
The North Texas Community Difference-Wylie is made possible in part by Marley Knapp with Norwex. Chemical-free sustainable solutions for your home. Melissa Berry with Lawyer's Title. Melissa Mancini, owner of Melissa Mancini Photography. Don't let your babies grow up to be JPEGs. And by Terra Padilla with Texan Window Cleaning. Don't let dirty windows be your pane in the glass. The North Texas Community Difference-Wylie. Together, we can make the difference.
And now back to the show.
Okay, I always get a kick out of that commercial spot because the taglines are fantastic. They make me laugh every time. So thank you to our sponsors. We appreciate you jumping in and sponsoring the show. With that being said, we were talking about the What's Up Wylie segment. So what that is basically is tell us about any events, community activity, community involvement, things that people need to know about going on in Wylie in the next coming weeks or months. So Jenny, I'll let you go first on this one.
Sure. Well, everybody is aware of the Allen shooting and how traumatic that is. Two of the little girls were actually from the Wylie ISD, and they have put together a GoFundMe. And here is the links right here where you can send some love to them. The family, it's all of our prayers are with them. The community got together yesterday, and everybody wore yellow to support the Mendoza family. And it's a tragic event. We have no explanation and no words for it, but this is a way where we can show some more love. On a fun note, I did also find out that this weekend, the library is hosting a Wylie garden tour where you can come out between 9 a.m. and 12 and come walk around the gardens, or apparently you can drive and you can pick the gardener's brains and get some tips and tricks on how to grow your great garden for this summer. So that's fun. But there's also a really cool event that I want Angela to introduce because she's a part of it.
So there's always something going on in Wylie. We just wrapped up Small Business Week last week, and that was great. The mayor had us all out to the city council meeting, and we all took a picture, and that was fabulous. We have a cornhole tournament coming up with the Wylie Chamber, and they're currently looking for teams or sponsors for that event. So if you want more information on that, go to the chamber website. There's tons of other things going on. The South is a new restaurant in town, and actually the owners live in my neighborhood, and it's amazing food. So you guys should check that out. Their ribbon cutting was Saturday, but the food's great, so go. And then the last thing I have is the women's conference coming up. That's going to be on June 9th. And it's just a women's conference for professional and personal growth. And I will be speaking on a panel at that.
Yay. And there is one more coming up also. Wylie has a bluegrass festival that's going to be June 24th, and they're still accepting sponsors. So if your business wants to get your name out there, you can definitely reach out and we can get you connected. If you just type in Wylie events, we can find out how to get some more information on being a sponsor for the bluegrass festival.
That's awesome. And I'm glad to hear that you guys are both part of the chamber in Wylie. It sounds like that's a tight-knit group, which is fantastic. All those events are great. And then, at some point, who knows? Let's have the head of the chamber on the show. Let's have the mayor. Let's get those guys involved too, because we've had those in other different communities, and we love having them on too, because they can definitely talk about the who's, what's, and whys of what's going on in their city. So that's awesome. You guys are both super involved in the city and it shows. So thank you for that. What we're going to do now is shift, and we're going to allow your guests to come on and talk about themselves, their stories, share some information about themselves and who they are, what they do. And each one will get about 5 minutes to talk through that. So Jenny, let's start with you again and just, make that intro, and let's hear about your guest.
Yes, everyone. I have Nichelle Keithley coming on. She is with Connect Women Today, and she's one of those who's just been divinely placed into my life, and she is such a bright light. As soon as I met her, she was an instant energy that I was attracted to her, and I'm so honored to have her here today to tell her story.
Hey, good morning, Jenny, and thank you so much for having me on. It's so nice to meet all of you guys, and I am super excited to connect with all of you.
Yay.
Well, thanks for being on, Nichelle. Pleasure to have you, and I'm glad we got past our audio issues. So thanks for joining. So tell us about yourself. Tell us, how you got with, got involved in Connect, and, how, again, kind of expound on how you and Jenny met, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. So I had stage 3 breast cancer 3 years ago. And my journey lasted a couple of years. So I'm about 1 year out of not having to do anything and just kind of being over everything. I was very blessed to have an army of prayer warriors behind me and people that supported me through the entire thing. But during that time, my very first night of chemo, I had a talk with God, and it was what I call a come to Jesus moment. And basically he was like, listen, you're going to be okay. You're going to not only survive, but to thrive. And through that, you're going to bring people together. So fast forward 3 years later, I'm like, hey, I'm still here. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to bring people together? And Connect was born. And Connect is a nonprofit for women. And it is co-founded by my best friend, Sarah Rowell. And she basically just jumped on this crazy train and was like, all right, we're doing it. We had our first event at Land and Winery. We like to keep things, if we can, local, within our little city, 5-city area. But we are growing and super excited about that growth. The first event had 35 women 3 days before Christmas. So everybody was like, hey, when's the next one? And we had Galentine's 2 months later. And I ended up having to rent the space at Land and Winery. And we had almost 80 women there that night. And we just had our third event. It was called Mom in Today. And we had 5 speakers. 5 different women came and just talked about their trials and tribulations, the good, bad, and ugly of being a mom. So it's just all about connecting women, not just from a professional standpoint, but from a personal standpoint as well.
That's so awesome.
Thanks.
Well, thank you for sharing, Nichelle. And yeah, we apologize on the audio. I heard most of it. Hopefully, we can get that cleared up here as we go forward. But clearly a story that you lived it, right? So, thank you for sharing that. Let's give Angela a chance to introduce her guest as well. We've kind of seen her in the background, so we'll get a chance for her to come kind of front and center. So Angela, take it away.
Okay, well, this here is Susan Washington, and she has just been such an important part of my life. Really my mentor. She became a mother figure in my life, but she has an incredible testimony, has lived in Wylie for a long time and has a great story and inspires people daily. And I can truly say that I wouldn't be the woman or mom that I am today without her in my life. So I'm just very thankful for her, and I want everyone to know how awesome she is. Yay.
Well, hi everyone. I'm so honored to be on here, and I'll just share a little bit about my story. I grew up in East Dallas, the youngest of 3 kids, and we had a lot of tragedy. When I was 10, my brother committed suicide. Basically, my parents fell apart, and just my life got really hard. My mother died when I was 18. My last words to her get the blank out of my room. I wish she were dead. I found her body. It was just so tragic, and I kept stuffing things down, and I kept surviving, but I was not thriving in any way. I went to college. I became a teacher, got married, started having my children. But 20 years to the day after my mother died at the same age, my mom died at 49 on Memorial Day 1979. Then my sister died at the age of 49 on Memorial Day 1999. And I spiraled into a drug addiction. I had no place else to stuff anything. I became a drug addict, started doing meth. I got let go of the district I was teaching at. I ended up eventually going to prison for my meth addiction. And I paroled out of prison and came to Wylie. My in-laws were very involved here. They were like citizens of the year twice, just involved in everything all the Master Network people are in. But this is where I rebuilt my life, and my children came back, and God just started really working. And I started a relationship God. I finally opened my heart to God, and I've been clean since July 15th, 2002, and my life has been redeemed. After, I've experienced a lot of loss, and so in 2012, my 20-year-old daughter died in a car accident on Parker Road. And that was kind of a test. I was like, how am I going to survive this? And God just met me in that tragedy, and I was able to trust him. And even though I didn't understand it, I trusted him, and I didn't lose my sobriety. And she had a young daughter. I adopted her, and God just worked miraculously through that. And I just always had hope. And then 3 years after Alexis's death, my 3-year-old granddaughter died in a car accident. And Haley, my daughter, who was Angela's and still is Angela's best friend, that was her daughter. And again, I was like, God, I just don't get this. But God just was with us through it. And Haley was baptized. And, I just like to share my story. I wrote a book called From Poms to Prison, because I was just kind of this all-American girl. And when everything fell apart, everyone was surprised that I went to prison. And so, but it was just a way, I just like to give hope, because there's always hope, even in the most tragic situations. So I share my story in schools and prisons and churches, and I love that. That's part of my job. And I sell new homes as well. I sold in Wylie and Bozeman Farms for about 8 years until we sold that. So God is just really redeemed. There's always hope. You can rebuild your life. And like she said, it not only survive, but you can thrive. And just if you keep your eyes focused and trust, you can just unimaginable. And I've been so blessed.
My goodness, our guests have been through some struggles, and that's thank you for sharing that to both of you. And think about what the world's been through over the last several years, and the mental health issues that are going on as a result of that. Very inspiring and I guess timely guests to bring on the show today. So fantastic choices, ladies, co-hosts, for coming on, or bringing these guests on, and thank you, guests, for sharing those stories. With that being said, what we'll do right now is cut to commercial break to get in some more advertising for our sponsors, and then on the back end, we'll just have kind of a roundtable discussion, and the focus is basically community involvement for the month of May. So let's do that, Landon. Cut to that commercial, and we'll come back and talk about community. Or maybe we'll just talk about community. Well, as things happen, sometimes we have to pivot a little bit and make do with what technology allows us. And so we've had a few challenges. I think we're probably having issues with the commercial kickoff as well. So that's cool. We'll just start talking about community involvement. So let's do this as far as, from a small business perspective, or, from what you guys do, basically how how can you guys as small business owners, we talked a little bit about it before with the Chamber of Commerce, but how can you best get involved in the community, and how do you guys do that? And so we'll start off with our co-hosts. Angela, let's go with you first. And then if anybody wants to chime in on how they feel like they can get most involved in the community, let's do that.
Well, as a business owner, I think that where I started getting really involved with the community was joining the chamber. That was a big help for me. I joke with everyone. Another co-host down the line in our Master Networks group is Megan Lunty with Brightway Insurance. And I was already having success as a realtor, but I was like not doing as much here, where I'm like, I live here. I should be doing more deals in Wylie, and I should be more connected in the community. So I literally just started following Megan Lunty around and did everything she did. And she's fabulous. Most of you probably know her, but she came from out of state and didn't really even know anyone. I grew up here, went to school here. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. And then I got involved with the chamber, and it was just such a good way to get involved with everything in the community, because you know a lot more about what's going on just through people you're talking to and networking. But like I said before, just the community aspect and the camaraderie, the encouragement from other business owners is just unmatched from anywhere else I've ever been. So if you want to be involved, there's a way to be involved. We have nonprofits everywhere. You can message any one of us to get you connected with somebody. I started going to church with Susan, and I got a life group, and that really was a lot of my community then. And then, there's tons of ways to be involved. You just have to find somebody and ask how.
That's great. And I see on our back notes here, our backstage notes, I think Lyndon is back in action and back online. So let's continue the community involvement conversation, but we do want to get some time for a station sponsor. So let's cut the commercial real quick, and then we will come back.
Okay.
Or
Take two. Lyndon, are you sleeping?
he said he was back online, but I don't know. I have to check my text messages to make sure the timing is right. That's cool. Again, we'll just continue rolling with this conversation on community involvement.
Yeah, I'm going to chime in. The community involvement, as being a small business owner and starting out, it's sort of one of those things that you don't really know how important it is until you're involved in it. And you feel like your business has to take priority. You have to go out and make sales. You have to help the new sales team. You have to be doing so many things in your business. We wear so many hats, and that the community involvement might almost be like a thing you're going to put off. But I've shifted my perspective, because it is what I need to continue to be a strong business leader. In order to continue to keep pouring into people and to operate at the level that I do, I have to have those people around me. They fill me up, and we're able to not feel like we're on this like deserted island trying to figure out everything on our own. Like we all may be different businesses, but we all have the same struggles. And going back to you, Susan, thank you so much for your vulnerability, and to speak that, to say what you've been through, like that is not easy. That is, and one of the mantras, Gabby Bernstein, that stays with me, that it's, it is our responsibility to share our story with the world, because we never know who we're going to be able to affect and who's going to learn from that. And for you to just to be able to share that on this open broadcast, and even for you, Nichelle, to share like how you overcame cancer, and in this group of collection of women that you've created, like there's people that are struggling right now that aren't able to get out of bed, that are afraid to take a leap or to go and do anything. But with us being able to share our vulnerabilities, to share our fears, to share what we're afraid of doing, will inspire other people. And that's what the world desperately needs right now. And that's what the community brings to me. It keeps me motivated. It keeps me going, and to where I'm like, man, maybe I'm not cut out for this. This isn't going to be good for me. I'm just going to shut everything down and just move away. Like, we think that as business owners, because it's stressful, it's hard. And then you kind of wonder, what is it all worth? But when you're around the community and you see the difference you can make, by getting connected with nonprofits and getting connected with other business owners where you guys can just continuously pour into each other. Like literally our entire master networks, they write my insurance. I bought my house from them. We every service, my pool guys from there, my landscaper, like anything that I can do in my life, I want to support them first and vice versa, then back to us. Like we continuously pour into each other, whether it's just with emotional support or with our businesses, and then recommending them too. So it just really gives you such a broader spectrum of people to connect with.
Jenny, I like a few things. Well, I like all that, but I like a few things that you summarized very nicely. And that is, the struggle aspect, right? As a small, and just from a business perspective, business owner perspective, I don't know if you guys have seen that Facebook meme or, people copy and paste, a business owner will copy and paste it. It's kind of a long thing, but it basically says, all the things that, sorry if I haven't returned a text message, or sorry if I haven't seen an email. The struggle is real. You mentioned it sometimes it's really difficult to get up in the middle, get up in the morning because you haven't slept because of all the things that are on your mind and all the people that you haven't communicated with that you need to. So I've seen those flying around on Facebook, and 95% of that is real and actual for a business owner, no matter what business you're in. So I love the fact that you brought that up, and that community engagement really can help people through that. So I love that aspect of it. Does anybody have any examples of, from just a driving business standpoint, and by driving business community involvement, it can kind of help through some of those difficult parts of running the business from a mental standpoint. But does anybody have any examples, concrete examples of how community engagement has helped you drive your business forward, or gotten you the connection that helped drive your business forward?
If it's okay, Brian, can I speak to that? So as a nonprofit, and we've only been around for 3 months, so we're brand spanking new. And exactly to speak to what Angela and Jenny have said, getting involved in our community has been number one. At first, I just thought this would be kind of like maybe my friends and some friends of friends. But this morning, there was a post on Facebook on one of the Wylie pages. And, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. And a woman that doesn't know anybody got on there and said, hey, I need somebody. I need a community. And immediately our amazing community is like, join this, go to church here, come have coffee with me, come to connect. We'd love to have her. And I just think that it's really important. But to speak to what Jenny said also, as a business owner, as a nonprofit, I have, a job outside of this, actually a couple. So with that being said, I need to be filled up as well. And the way I find that is, yes, in the success of my group, it is also in doing these community events and going to these social networking events and getting my cup filled up. Jenny pouring into me and saying, I believe in what you're doing. I want you on this podcast. I want people to hear your story. And I'm like, you do? It's okay. And it's just that reiteration that what you're doing means something, and you're helping people. So I think it's really important, when you get involved in church and community, come to all these free events. I've never seen a town like Wylie that has so many cool free events that the chamber puts on, or businesses put on. Boo on Ballard. It's amazing. There's so many ways to plug in, and it just helps to fill your cup back up. So I think it's very important.
That's fantastic, and I wholeheartedly agree. So thank you for sharing. I want to hear from Susan because of the story that she's and the struggles that she's been through. How has community involvement or engagement helped you? Either from book sales, home sales, but just overcoming all the adversity that you've been through. Because I think that story is extremely inspiring.
Well, coming to Wylie was really important. And I started reaching out. I was very at first when I got here, I was very guarded. I had so many walls up because, I thought if they know I went to prison, if they know I did this, they're not going to let their friends meet their children friends with my kids, so I didn't share. I had so many secrets, and our secrets are destructive. But I got involved in a church, and I got involved in a life group. And in one night, some people were sharing their vulnerabilities, what they were struggling with, just everything came out. I had never told anyone. That was the last words I said to my mother. I had so much guilt and shame, and there was just freedom in that. And that's what, and I just walked that out. And then, the community rallied around me. I tried to get my teaching certificate back, and over 100 people in Wylie wrote letters of support for me, and I got my teaching certificate reinstated. Now, I don't know if the school district will hire me because I am a felon, but I've got that, I've got it. And it was just amazing how I felt loved. And, I started working at a Dickie's barbecue when it first opened. When I first got out of prison, someone took a chance on me. And I just think you have to give people chances and believe in them. And, that's what I want to try to do. Once you have a felony on your record, you can't rent anything. And, when that bad hailstorm came to Wylie, like, my house was destroyed, and I had to try, and it was 15 years since I had been in trouble, and no one would rent us an apartment. And I finally was like, if I give you a $10,000 deposit, will you rent me an apartment? And they did. They finally did that. But, I was like, there's got to be more hope. And just walking that out so people see, if you mess up, you can get back up and do what you need to do. But you have to be accountable too. So, it's just, I like to pour into people's life that way, because if we create a safe place for people to share their stories, their struggles, their mistakes, where that shame, that speaking it out just releases it, and then there is freedom. And it's just very powerful to me, and it's brought people in. I've ministered to people who walked in to buy a home from me, and I'm not going to tell you every person who walked in I told them I was a felon that went to prison. A lot of them I did, and we became good friends. Not everyone bought a house from me, but we prayed, and they needed to hear it. I know God spoke it, and so that's kind of what Wylie's been for me, and so I want to give back.
Love it. I love that. Awesome. Well, thanks again for sharing. We're going to try Third Strike. You're out in baseball. We're going to see if that applies to a podcast as well. So we're going to try to cut to commercial break again here. But on the back end, what I'd like to do is, we've talked about all the great stuff that community engagement and involvement brings. We'll talk about some of the challenges as well on the back end. So, Lennon, third time's a charm. Let's go to commercial.
The North Texas Community Difference-Wylie is made possible in part by One Payon and JP Direct Health, providing affordable health insurance solutions as a proactive protection, not a reactive solution. Allison Wilson and Community Wealth Advisors, Life Well Planned. Angela Tucker with Coldwell Banker Apex. Here to help you discover your real estate dreams and build wealth through all stages of life. Dr. Chelsea Nutt with Retrouve Wellness. Feel it to heal it. And by Cordell Reynolds with New Res Mortgage. Your mortgage journey starts right now.
The North Texas Community Difference-Wylie is made possible in part by Jenny Connolley with TC Roofing and Restoration. Trust TC to keep you leak-free. Jessica Cooper with Diesel Signs and Displays. The power of advertising. Lynn Heberly with Coldwell Banker Apex, guiding you home with heart and expertise. Megan Lunt with Brightway Insurance. If you are not insured the right way, call Brightway. And by Marissa Page with Page Restoration. When the worst happens, let our family take care of yours. The North Texas Community Difference-Wylie. Together, we can make the difference.
And now back to the show.
Well, the third time truly was a charm.
It worked.
It was good to see, obviously, you guys in that ad. So I'm glad that ad finally worked. Also saw some folks that I got to meet last week too. So, no, thanks for sharing your messages. Thanks for those ads and the support there. So that being said, we talked about all the advantages of community involvement, community engagement. We connected on this as well last week, but if you guys have any examples, would love to hear this. Jenny, you mentioned that you kind of shifted your focus to make sure that you were more engaged in the community. Does anybody have examples or stories of where they had challenges doing that? Not necessarily because of people on the other end, but maybe a lack of time as a business owner. We talked about that and the challenge that can present, but does anybody have any stories to share there?
I'll go.
Go for it, Angela.
I didn't mention that I'm a single mom as well. So I have a 15-year-old daughter, and being a business owner, you have all the things just like you were talking about. You have a million things going on every day, and you're the one person running all of the things. So between that, being a single mom and doing all the different things, it gets exhausting sometimes, to be honest. So I feel like sometimes I recluse, and I have to take that time. You have to take the time for yourself, because you're not going to be good for anybody else if you don't fill yourself up or take the rest that you need, or you end up sick. That happens to me. If I keep going, and then I'll just get sick and I have to take the time, which I'd rather not do that way. But just kind of trying to find the balance. Everyone uses that word. Is there really a balance in real estate? Like, I don't know if that there is one. You know what I mean? So, but that is a real challenge. I would love to be at every single event, and I would love to sponsor every single thing. But I can't do it all. So I guess that's a challenge. But you just do what you can, and you just give yourself grace for what you can.
Well, you're so first of all, that's very. I don't know how single moms do it, so I admire that quality about you, and the fact that you're able to get out there and still do it. Balance is absolutely key. Whether it's home work balance, mental balance, I think that's all applicable. So absolutely great points. Does anybody else have any other examples of any difficulties they've had in trying to get involved in the community? Maybe not knowing how to, because that's come up in previous discussions as well. Does anybody have examples of that?
Ladies, do you want to go?
So, I mean, I can speak to that. Obviously, as a nonprofit, we don't have any money, right? It literally is just two ladies like, let's go forward. What are we going to do? And we have all these ideas and how we want to bring community and how we want to grow. But if you don't have the financial means, unfortunately, it's difficult to grow at times. So, for us, it's not a difficulty like that the community brings, because we have had so many wonderful people that have supported us. Like Gino at Napoli, he is amazing and has supported us numerous times with pizza. But I think the hard part is are people going to like this? Are people going to want to do this? Are we going to fail? And failure is scary, right? Because we want to be successful and we want to do good. And unfortunately, there's people that are not going to like what we're doing. And even though we hope that we are doing God's word, because in the beginning and through this whole thing, it's his vision, right, that he brought to me. And so it's constantly bringing it back to Christ and making sure that we are still God-centered, but that everybody, all women, no matter if you're a believer or not, we'd love for you to be a part of our community. So, for me, it's almost not so much the community, but is you get in your own head. Am I doing good? Am I doing enough? Can I do more? I didn't help this person, but I helped that person. And, all those negative feelings kind of start to play in. So
I love that. That's where I wanted you guys to speak, because that was going to be my thing is, you never know what's going to come up. And being in construction, anything can go wrong. That's why I tell my homeowners, anything can go wrong. I mean, you know what? Things will go wrong. I can promise you that. But one thing that we will definitely do is it will never be considered complete until it's right. So things are going to come up. So really the struggles, like, it goes back to you. And we really have to take time to get our mindset straight. To make sure that we are mentally strong enough, because us being entrepreneurs, being nonprofits, what it is that we're doing within the community and within ourselves, that takes really big courage. I don't even know what the percentage is of us that actually do step out and do this, the movers and shakers, the big risk takers. Like, we have to really be a different level of respecting ourselves and how we envision ourselves too. So I make it like this is my precious time. I get up first thing in the morning. I'm up at 4:30 in the morning and I go work out, because I know if I work out, I'm going to be that much more prepared to take whatever kind of crap comes my way. And then I have about an hour and a half where I meditate, pray, I journal, I read. And sometimes I just sit there. Sometimes I might even just fall back asleep. But having those, it's 3 hours. No one can even call me, talk to me until 8:30 in the morning. I have a very strong boundary on that. It's a new boundary, but in fact a boundary. But I don't make any phone calls or do anything until 8:30 in the morning. And that is how I prepare for whatever kind of chaos, whatever kind of things are going to happen. I'm going to be able to put those fires out, because that's what we do. We're solutionists. We create solutions to the problems. And I'm going to be able to do that because I had my precious time. Because our mindset is number one. Like, we have to keep that straight. And it's just like brushing our teeth. We got to do it every single day. Like our Ty today in our meeting said, you brush your teeth on Monday, you're going to be stinking by Friday. You can't just do it once. And that's exactly what it is. Like, how do we find that time to take care of ourselves? Because we take care of so much.
I mean, I love the points that you guys have brought up. Angela, I heard you say, give yourself grace, right? Absolutely. Jenny, that ties into exactly what you're saying. You're setting boundaries, you're dedicating some me time, and in a way, you're giving yourself grace, because you've got the battle of what's coming up with, whatever issues that can and will present themselves, no matter how hard you try to plan around them. So love those points. I want to take this a little bit different direction and look more futuristic and in the future, and where the trends are heading. When it comes to community engagement. Obviously, we're in a different realm here in a podcast, so we can get engaged in the community through a podcast. What other ways that come to your guys' mind, or have you maybe been successful, whether social media or whatever, in getting involved in the community? Obviously with a brand new nonprofit, there's got to be ways that you have to get creative and things like that. Susan, in what you've done and sharing that story, how have you guys brought, any sort of new tools, or how is that? If you guys have some real life examples of that, we'd love to share with the audience. And feel free to chime in, anybody.
So definitely as a nonprofit, that's social media. And as much as I thought I knew about Facebook, I'm actually a lot older than, and my mindset when it comes to social media is extremely ancient, evidently. Instagram is where it's at. And I don't know anything about Instagram. I have one, but I didn't even remember what my password was. So my friend Sarah and I, we have just been going to every possible platform, trying to educate ourselves and trying to help, to grow. But through social media, I mean, that is how Connect Women Today has grown, is, just putting things out there. And like Jenny said, just putting yourself out there and praying to God that somebody's going to be like, oh, that sounds fun. That sounds cool. So really for us, social media has been a huge platform. We're actually now kind of changing gears, and we are stepping out of our comfort zone. With each event, we've stepped out a little bit more. So this next time, we're stepping out, and we're joining the chamber. So we're super excited about that. Angela earlier was talking about the event that's coming up, the women's conference, and we want to figure out how to, be a sponsor in that. We've also partnered with different businesses. Like, we have a fundraiser coming up, but we want it to be a whole family event. We want to bring people together. That was the one thing that was, terrible about COVID. We all had to be in our houses. But I don't know, my neighborhood really just came together, and we missed that, just coming out. So we're having a huge cornhole tournament coming up. So we'll definitely be pushing that out, and social media will be the place where we're going to do that. That's our avenue most of the time.
Well, I like that, using a cornhole set to promote your initiative. So that is definitely a new one, and I love it. So no, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing, Nichelle. Anybody else have any examples of how they're using, whatever new technologies that's out there, or new, hot games like cornhole, maybe darts or pool or anything like that to drive your business forward?
I mean, I got to give a Master Networks quick plug, because Master Networks has completely changed the trajectory of our business and the relationships that I've made. And it's just incredible. And the great thing about Master Networks is you're not just connected to that one chapter. You have an obligation to show up every week to that chapter, but we have a whole network here in North Dallas. I can't even tell you, what is there, at least like 20 or 30 different chapters. And that's what I love doing, is go visit other chapters and having that kind of an idea, like, who is it that could utilize from my service? Like for you, Nichelle, like, who nonprofits are not popular in Master Networks. We need more nonprofits like you guys. And you can come, the way that it works is, if nobody does what you do, you can come into the meeting and have your 30 seconds and have your presentation of what it is that you're doing. And these business owners, we all know that we need to, the more that we can support and give, the more that the happier we're going to be. That's our whole motive, is to help more people. So plugging into Master Networks is a great way to really broaden your reach. And Susan, did you have something?
Well, when I worked in Bozeman, and I worked in a model home because I worked for a builder, I do a lot of sharing just sharing on, and I'm a Facebook person more than other social media. And I know that tells my age, but like a policeman who had heard me speak one time reached out to me, and they wanted to do a SWAT tactical training. And so they came to my model, and I let them do that there. And it was just a great thing, where then I got to meet them, and it was just a community outreach that, and it was from my story as well as my job. And I was just, and my company let me do that. And so there was just, things like that, where you open up, people hear about you, they reach out. Someone had, I've had people reach out to me just wanting me to meet them at Shoemaker and Hart, because they want to talk to me about something. And, I think with my story and the things that I've experienced, it's more, they can be more of an open book, where they might feel shame telling someone else. But, just, getting out there and just being available. And that's what, and it's more, sometimes it's one-on-one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's where the magic happens, is one-on-one.
Susan does a great job of that. That's where I see a lot of, she shares her story, and that's where people can really relate to her. And, then they come to her with their problems, and she just talks to them and prays with them. And it's super amazing. That's, like I said, I've kind of followed in her footsteps. When we had a relationship, was my best friend Haley was her daughter, and I was kind of a troubled teen, and she took me under her wing. And so I've kind of followed in her footsteps, right? Like, she does new home sales, but I went into real estate, just all the things. And without her showing me that there's a way I could do that, and that I could overcome the obstacles in my life, I wouldn't be where I'm at. So that's so impactful that she does that. And I'd love to one day do that too, on top of all the things. But as far as my business goes, a lot of people reach out to me on social media, whether they're just kind of like, hey, I want to look into buying a house, or I'm thinking about moving up, or whatever it looks like. Some people even want to become a realtor. So I talk to them about that and kind of what the stages of that look like. So I think just people seeing what you're doing and being out there in the community, I sponsor everything that I can. Like I said, any school things, anything that really anybody asks me to, I love to give back to the community, because I wouldn't be where I was at without the mentors and the programs and the people that gave back to me. So.
Yeah.
That's great. And I think you guys all touched on great points as far as how to connect, right? So it's not just all about social media. It's not just about podcasting. It's building those relationships one-on-one. So as long as you have a good mix of all of that, they're all great ways to get involved in the community. So thank you all for sharing all of that. What I'd like to do now is Lennon, if you can you chime in here? Are you able to talk technologically?
Oh.
Yeah, maybe not. Okay. I did want to, Jenny, you touched on it with Master.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now. Yep.
All right. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Okay. Well, as long as we can hear you for the meantime, but if not, that's cool. We'll take over. Jenny, you kind of mentioned it with Master Networks and the ability to connect that way, and the involvement and just the spread that it has across the DFW area. Lennon, I know there's some other involvement that we may have there as well. Did you want to touch on that, or are we going to tease that for future episodes?
We'll tease that for future. Let's hold that out for a little bit.
All right. I know we wanted to talk a little bit of news there, but no, you guys as the Wylie chapter, again, you guys are such a strong chapter. You guys have seen a tremendous amount of growth since you started, and you guys have gotten behind this effort on the podcast too. So it just goes to show the power of what that group can attain when you do get involved and you do take it to that next level. So that being said, we are bumping up against the end of the show. What I'd like to do is just go around the horn and ask everybody, guests first, if you could just, give a real quick recap of who you are, how to reach you, and then we'll just go around the horn.
Okay, my name's Susan DeFace Washington. I'm an author, and then I'm a new home salesperson. You can reach me. My phone number is 972-757-9212. If you need anything, I'm on Facebook as Susan DeFace Washington. You reach out to me, I will connect with you in any way. I would be here. You can share anything with me with no judgment.
Love it.
Awesome.
So, Susan, really quick, I am super excited to connect with you. I cannot wait to talk to you after this off podcast. I'd love to go have coffee. So, speaking of connecting, my name is Nichelle Keithley. I am right here in Wylie. Our nonprofit is called Connect Women Today. That's our public page, and then we also have a private page, and it's just called Connect. And it is for any woman. It is a very much an inclusive group. It's all about just building community, inspiring each other, praying for each other, and being there for each other. So please feel free to reach out to me through Facebook, or you can call me at 877-994-1905. Thanks.
Awesome. Angela, you're up.
Okay, well, I am excited to learn more about what you're doing with Connect, Nichelle. So we need to connect. We should all do a coffee outside of this.
I'm down. Let's go.
I'm here for a resource for whatever it is that you need. Like we have this great network full of people. I know tons of people in Wylie. Anything you want or need, I probably have a connection for you. So if you need to reach out to me for anything like that, of course, I'm always here for all of the real estate needs, whether you're a first-time home buyer, luxury, I cover it all. So happy to help in any way that I can.
Awesome.
Thanks, Angela. You're up, Jenny. What you
got?
All right.
I'm Jenny Connolley, owner of TC Roofing Restorations and Solar, and we're here to help. Weather's crazy around here. It's like every week we're getting some kind of pop-up storm. We really don't get out of storm season until it gets really hot. So we're almost there. And I love working with real estate agents. Seems like you all kind of have your foot in the door with real estate. So we love to help real estate agents before they list their properties. Like, just let us come out. We'll get some fresh set of eyes on there. We do what's called a roof refresh, where we'll just seal everything up so the inspector doesn't make a big deal about an exposed nail when it's the easiest fix ever, or just some little shingles that we can just make sure those are sealed down for you, just so you slide through those inspections without any issues. And if ever there's any questions that any of your buyers have, we love to we'll come out usually the same day or the next day. We can get out there and give you a quick roof inspection and give you guys a peace of mind of what it looks like. So my number's down below. And then if you Google us on just TC Roofing, you'll be able to find us on Google and Facebook. But this is great. Thank you guys so much for being here. The guests are amazing. Brian, amazing host, as expected.
Well, I can't thank you guys enough for being on the show today and sharing your stories, and sharing about your businesses, of course, but it's more about who you are and why you're here. And I can't say that we've ever had a set of co-hosts and guests, of course, that have had such compelling stories. So thank you all for being on the show today. That does bring us to the end of our show. As you heard throughout all those recaps, right, we've made connections on this show just directly with our guests and co-hosts, right? And we've got meetings and face-to-faces, coffees, whatever coming up on the back end. I encourage everyone to do that, of course, on the show, but anybody who's listening, if you felt compelled or inspired by these stories, please reach out. That's what we're here for, and that's what these shows are doing, is getting making connections through a different venue, really. And we do have some really neat things coming up, opportunities to get involved in the podcast. I'm gonna float this term out there. It's called Pod Connect. So if you want to learn more about that, I will tease that out because I know it's out there, and I know the power of what pod connecting can do. So reach out to me, myself, reach out to Len Wilson to learn more about that opportunity as well. But in the meantime, follow us, like us, subscribe to us. Ladies, I can say that, no offense, Lyndon, but everybody on the screen here is a lady. So ladies, thank you for being on the show. Great show today. And, look forward to doing it again next week. Until then, we'll see y'all later.
Awesome, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for watching today's show. If you like today's show, please share, like, and subscribe, and make sure to shop, buy, and hire in Wylie. Special thanks to all the guests, co-hosts, and sponsors of the North Texas Community Difference-Wylie.
Thank you for tuning in and watching our show. If you would like to see our next show, or more shows like this one, just click the QR code and go to show schedules, or just follow and subscribe to our channels to get updates and notifications of this show, and many others like it.